Well, hello everyone. It is I, Rex Rexington, back to you again with another episode of interviews. I know it went so the first time. Thought we do this again. Cause it really just helped with ratings. So I'm gonna have a few more fighters come on for interviews and whatnot, and hopefully everything goes well. And yeah, we'll see how things turn out with that. So welcome to episode 2 of Inside Fight Finder, Finding Fighters. No, that's not gonna work. Name's still work in progress. We'll figure one out eventually, but we'll workshop some stuff and we'll find one that sticks. Alright, well, hello, folks. Welcome back to the show. We have our first guest of the evening here with us tonight, so let us welcome them onto the stage.
Yo, it's that way, right? Yeah, it is that way. Hey,
Hello, good to see you. Welcome to
well, it's good to be here.
Yeah. Welcome to my show. Um, yeah. So, for our viewers at home, what is your name? For those that don't know you.
Hey, nice to meet you, everyone that I have either met or haven't met. My name is Red, like the armor, it's also on the name tag. I don't really have a surname, but I guess you can kind of just say, like, the Reno Red. Yeah, that's kind of the state I represent now, but Red is fine. Red is cool.
I see. And, do you know of your current rank within Fight Finder, or are you unsure at this moment?
I'm probably on a lower tier. I only have like 5 fights between me. Yeah, I've kind of been sitting for a bit, but I'm back at it. I'm back out there.
Yeah, we've had a few fighters, some in the higher tier, some in the bit on the lower tiers, and we haven't really gotten their name out there yet. But from what I've seen from the fights that you've been recorded, you tend to be the more up close and personal type. You really go in there.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, a lot of these fights that I try to participate in, it's usually kind of a training thing, but for the most part, just the way I am, the way my species tends to roll, we do prefer our close encounters. I mean, sure, like, who doesn't fancy a good, beam or, like, a firearm, but
Yeah.
I figure, I don't know, I think close quarters is a little bit better, it helps you gauge with your opponent, You're not trying to kill anyone out there. Hopefully.
Yeah. Which leads into my next question. So, what makes you stand out from the rest of the fighters? A lot of them do tend to use the hand-to-hand fisticuffs, but each has their own little unique little quirk to it, their own bit of edge to add that extra bit of flair or power to their strikes.
So, at least kind of in my book, I mean, yeah, audience perspective is everything. So, I'm a little bit more of an adaptive fighter, Sometimes I like the tried and true uppercut, usually it gets the job done, but in some cases, you're either punching down on an opponent that's smaller, and I mean, size is really a big factor, because a lot of people like to say, the smaller the fighter, the weaker, whatever, but it's usually not the case. You could have a 4-footer who hits almost as hard as a freight train. So, you have to adapt to these encounters. Sometimes I like to gauge, sometimes I like to sit, let the opponent make their decision, make their move. Doesn't always end well. I mean, I do have a shiner for it, but a lot of times it helps, And when it does help, it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how being able to be adaptive to your opponent, because everyone just tends to fight differently. They have their own little unique techniques. Everyone has their own little style of martial arts, one would say. So you really have to be adaptive, able to respond accordingly to everything that's thrown at you, and still have that bit of flair of your own to keep the audience's eye on you.
Oh yeah, and in an environment like Fight Finder with so many different types of people, I mean, you have demons, you have dragons, you have synths, you have humans. You can't just stick to one thing. You gotta branch out in some cases, and a lot of people, they don't like branching with their fighting styles in some cases, but when they do, I mean, we could look at the leaderboards as a great example. I mean, some of the top fighters are well known for adapting. I mean, I'd like to put Job in that corner, It all really depends on it. It's like I don't know. It was an old expression. Not many people say it, but it all depends on the weather, Sometimes you can go into a fight and you know the outcome immediately, especially as a fighter that kind of tends to roll with the mindset. You go in there, guns blazing, adrenaline pumping. You got this. You're ready. Other times, you don't know what you're in for. You could be going up against your average man, and your average man suddenly pulls out like God Key or something and blows up the arena. You can't prepare for everything, but if you adapt, you have more of a fighting chance, because you take that unpredictability, you take that predictability, and you can form a little bit of a battle strategy, even with the least amount of time. And I feel like that matters a lot.
Yeah. So you're someone that can think in the moment and just know what move to throw at next or how to react based on what your opponent throws out. And do you have like a knack for like reading people's moves, being able to predict what they'll do next, or do you kind of just go with the flow and more focus on the counters?
Well, look, I'm not the smartest guy in the shed, In a lot of cases, at least for me, I do tend to try to get an ability to read people. It's not 100% accurate, nothing is, but in most of the fights where I did have a positive outcome, it was because I went in there, guns blazing. I was the guy who said, "Nah, I got this. I can do this. I'm fine." Mm-hmm. And it's all right to be that way. You can have your ego, you can have your confidence. But at least in my case, I like to go in there with this kind of can-do attitude, get the motivation pumping. But the second the gloves come on, and the second the bell is ringing, and we're both in there, and we both have this idea that we're going to come out of this fight winning, that's when you have to play smart. And I feel like in my case, it's helped a lot more than it hasn't, especially against, some of the fighters I've been against, they're, wow, man, going in there with that can-do attitude, for a lack of a better term, apologies for the word, but it dropped me on my ass a few times. So, that's just how you have to figure these things out, right? You gotta be able to be smart. You gotta be able to work hard. But I mean, come on, it's Fight Finder. You gotta have some fun in there. All these interviews would be boring if we're just tried and true. I just like fighting. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Everyone has their reasons for joining Fight Finder, but I'm curious what your personal reasons are, because they probably differ from some of the others. Others do it because, they needed to blow up some steam. Others do it because, they wanting to train or improve their skills. Others just do it to try and gain fame among their peers and, show others, like, what they got, what they're able to do, and that they can be reliable in certain instances.
Well, honestly, I'm not too far off of the true path, This was for training. As a combat synth, you kind of have to be prepared for these type of things, right? Mm-hmm. From at least my species type, we're Barons. We don't really have much of a choice in the way we go about our day-to-day lives. A lot of us are controlled by some hive mind features. But me, I was given the lucky opportunity by my father before me to carve my own path, right? Be a trailblazer.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, due to my father's passing, it's been difficult to kind of formulate what I wanted to do, just in general.
Mm.
So, for me, I guess going in a Fight Finder, I do it more or less. I mean, sure, the fame is nice, the training's great, but I do it because I want to, I don't know, if it makes sense to form an identity, I being able to walk out there and have people recognize you by name, it does something. It helps. And in my case, my name is Red. And there's a whole story behind that, but being able to go out there with people who are either in my position or have risen above that position, to learn from them, to understand how they operate in their situations, it drives me forward, And I mean, even now, I like to say I like to learn a lot. I like to take a lot of things from people because I'm wearing my dad's armor.
Mm-hmm.
It gets hard. It gets tough, but I feel like the outcome is going to be, it's going to work more in my favor than against it, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, you can't really say and plan out your whole livelihood from start to finish. There's a lot of factors that go into it, a lot of wrenches in the system. Something can go wrong. But for me, I like to see it as getting a name, being able to be identified by something other than what I am, something other than what my species is, and of course, being able to share that experience with people. I feel like, that's just kind of how it goes.
Oh, well, that's quite the interesting answer, more unique than others that I've witnessed. But you did mention that you're using your father's armor. Has it been like repurposed in any way, or is it like keen to the traditional way of your father's, trying to keep that legacy alive, or did you put your own little spin on it?
Well, man, this armor is a story and a half. When my father first passed, he did so in combat, so there were a lot of things to deal with. For starters, there was a massive hole where this was, so it had to be welded together. The struggle for me, at least, was financial. It's massive upkeep to repair something like a car, right?
Oh yeah.
An armored supersuit's no different. But honestly, I was driven by the idea of, if my dad were still here, if he were, if he's watching this some way, shape, or form, I could pay respect to his armor, pay respect to my lineage. But, you gotta add a little bit of flair. It used to be full black, maybe some blue in there.
Yeah.
I did tweak it a bit. But I tried to keep things, relatively the same. The chest, the white, that came from the original armor. The helmet, of course. The battle damage. I tried to make it as practical as possible, but, I mean, some of these dents are defining traits. They're a sign of either what my father had to do or what I have to do. You can't just buff out a lot of them, especially if it's cosmetic.
Yeah. So you kind of just left a lot of the scuff marks to pay homage to the experience of both you and your father, as a reminder of everything that you both have experienced within that, I guess, set.
Yeah, that's the best way to look at it. I mean, it's the only way I could stay true to it, but while also making it practical and just living off of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Also, from the earlier questions, you mentioned you've faced a lot of fighters that have, well, put you on your ass, as you said. But what is one that you thought was like stood above the rest? Like, what's one you have the most respect in as a competitor?
Honestly, that's a tough one. I don't really have just one.
Really?
I mean, you have your top title cards. You have Baivar, Job. You have fighters that are honestly I've never personally gone to the ring with, but I mean I'm kind of glad. You have you have Tony, you have Malachi, and the way I see it is it's really hard to pick one fighter because they're all leagues and leagues above where a lot of people are, and they're kind of inspirational springboards. I mean, you have knights fighting up against dragons, you have demons fighting up against military robots. You can't. It's really hard to gauge that, but I guess the two that really stick out to me are Barmley and Job.
Really?
And it's solely because of it's because of their situation.
No.
It's easy for someone like me to go up and say, well, I can take on the world, I can fight anyone you throw at me. If you got a contender, bring him up here. And, I mean, by looks alone, I'm a giant dude,
Yeah.
And you have these relatively closer to like mid-height fighters not wearing a lot of armor. I mean, Barm has a vest, and they're still going out there and they're kicking ass. I mean, Job is the top fighter right now on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on leaderboard and seen the wins that he has gained through. From what I've noticed from a lot of his past bouts, it was like a lot of trial and error for him. Like, he lost a lot, he won a few, but he kept coming back, which is very admirable in a fighter, in my opinion.
It is one of the most admirable things that any fighter could at least strive to have is the ability to get back up. Because I mean, let's be honest, you're gonna take hits, you're gonna take shots, you're gonna take stabs, but none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things. What really does matter and what gets you to improve is getting back up and saying, okay, how do I prevent that from happening again? And the way I see Job, the way I see how Barn or how they activate with their fights is they don't really take a loss as a direct loss. They kind of take that as an opportunity to change the way things move, to go with the flow. If that, that kind of adds up. And I think that's kind of why I don't know, it's why they inspire me in a lot of cases. When I first started, I was getting my ass kicked left and right. Sure, I mean, my mouth kind of does a lot of talking, especially on the chat. But
Yeah. A
lot of cases,
I find that the verbal is a part of it. It's like that, like the battle always starts at the mental before it gets to the physical, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't really go out there and say you're gonna kick this guy's ass, right? Without spurring on a little action there. You gotta light the fire.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case with those two still is that they are so unique on an individual level and so unique on a fighter perspective that even if you look at their losses, you look at their wins, you don't say, oh, well, that's expected. You say, oh, well, wow, that doesn't track, or whoa, they have to learn how to deal with that. And I mean, man, especially in Barnes' case, the hand incident, I mean, I understand, where it's all a part of the show, right? It's all a part of at the end of the day, it's just all a part of the action. Fighters, we go into different mindsets when we're up in the ring. But to go through something like that, to lose a body part, and instead of saying, well, maybe I should cut back, saying, all right, when's this rematch? When are we going to go? I mean, sure, people call it dumb confidence or ignorance, but it's motivational, especially as a fighter who doesn't really understand what he wants to do in life. It's motivational to have someone like that with such a direct, blind confidence to spur you on, like, to get you going. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the end of the day, that's kind of all I see in a lot of cases. Because there's so many to pick from when it comes to fighting styles and actions and who they are. But mindset matters a little bit more as well. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the odds stacked in your favor, not all the chips are on the table. You don't have the best armor. You don't have the best weaponry. You don't have what that really drives a person. Yeah. And that's kind of why I picked those two.
Okay. Now, would you say you have any rivals at this point in time? Anyone you want to strive to overcome, or like anyone you see as like this big challenge that you have to surpass? Or
I have two.
Two.
And I can think of them right now. Eros and King.
Really?
King, personally, it's a different story, I would see that more as fun, but that Eros guy, man, and on an off chance that he isn't watching this, or if he is watching this, I still want that match. No cameras, no audience, no judge. We'll record it. We'll put it online. But I still want that match. But besides the point, I would like to see that as a rival. I mean, if we go into the verbal route, I have a few more opponents. I did have some beef with the Frost Lord, but rest his soul, he unfortunately passed away. And then I have some military guy, but those aren't rivals to me, But I would say Eros and King kind of are. King on a more social, I want to strive to get to that level. But Eros more on a social, I'm going to strive to kick his ass. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, you also throw your own little personal call out there, so that's
well, look, sometimes you gotta spur things on, it's like we said before with the whole chat situation.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But through Fight Finder, what do you wish to achieve? Like, what are you striving to accomplish through being in a community such as this? One that is very high on its pursuit of strength, let's put it that way.
Honestly, just to be named, if that makes sense, to have some sort of title behind it. Because, sure, I mean, we all want to strive to be on that Mount Rushmore, be up there with the big names, like the Gormunders, the Jobs, the Kings. But for me, I want to think on a more practical route. Being known by my name and being identifiable, I think that matters a little bit more. Plus, I mean, on a real note, I mean, financially, we're not looking really good in the bank, So, if I get a little something on the end there, then that's all right with me too. But I think the identity matters a little bit more in this case.
Yes. Do you have any words of encouragement or remarks to anyone else that would want to come into this scene, or those that are still trying to get their names out there and trying to grow within this space? That, like, anything you would like to say
Honestly,
to them?
To any fighter, or well, even just your average Joe, if you really want to be a part of this lifestyle, if you want to go out there and be the strongest, first thing you got to do is work out what's in here before you work out what's out here. In a lot of cases, you're going to be met with opponents that you just can't win against, and that's okay. You don't have to be this overall god. Every loss isn't a bad thing. What really matters at the end of the day is that if you want to continue to do what you want to do, if you want to rise up to the top, you got to take the good, you got to take the bad, and you got to work with the in-between. And above all else, you got to get back up. Because that is the only make or break difference between a fighter and, well, someone on the sidelines. And you got this. If no one else is in your corner, I'm in your corner. I'm sure he's in your corner. And at the end of the day, you got to take the good with the bad. And that's all I got.
All right. Before we send you off, any closing remarks, anything you want to promote, any other personal calls you want to say, any challenges you want to throw out to people?
Not with the calls or challenges, but, I mean, if you do want to sponsor your boy, I mean, I'm open to investors, I'm open to call-outs, but I do want to give a good old shout-out to Reno, Nevada. You know, they've been a good host. I've been a little rowdy, so they've given me the opportunity to at least sponsor them in some way and fight on that behalf is a really cool thing. And shout out specifically to Cell Block C in Reno, Nevada. I know you guys are watching me. I respect all of you individually, and I swear I will find the person who put that meatball on my bed, and I'm not going to be a nice guy about it. And that's all I got.
All right. Well, I do thank you for coming on my show and for the time you took to...
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I hope to see you grow in the future and to see more of your fights and to see you rise the ranks and just build your identity as Red.
Thank you so much. And if anything, I hope to watch you every Saturday. I mean, I know Saturday Night Live is kind of lacking in the audience department, so you gotta use that alternative.
Yeah.
But good luck out there.
Thank you. All right, and welcome back to the show. We are about to bring on our next guest up on stage here. This is another one of the fighters that have agreed to come on here, take their time out. So let's bring them onto stage.
Hey everybody, hey, I got a lot of fans out there. How you doing? Yeah, I'm pretty awesome.
Yeah. Right. So welcome.
So we're here.
Yeah. So, first things first, let's have you introduce yourself to our audience, as well as those watching at home.
Right, of course. Yeah, my name's Bang. I'm a level 8 fighter in a Fight Finder, and I'm a bronze rank. Got 5 wins under my belt.
5, wow.
Well, I mean, those 5 are from when I didn't have this this face. I didn't always look like this. I was a lot more rectangular when my face came in. It's a little complicated, but you get it.
All right, and we already answered my second question of what current rank are you? You said you're bronze, 5 wins. So,
Yep.
Yeah. So let's get an idea of how you fight. What sets you above the rest? What makes you different from the other people that use the various techniques? What gives you that extra edge in combat?
Well, I have a lot of tools under my belt. I usually go off the element of surprise, I guess you'd say. I have a lot of different, utilities. I'm mostly ranged. I have like these bones I shoot out with magic.
Mm.
These big blasters I use. They're not really the strongest, but they scale up to. I have judgment powers, meaning that the more of a bad person you are, the more I like hurt you with my magic.
Mm.
It does scale, so like if you don't hurt a fly, then I'm pretty much useless. I can't really do much. I'm not great with close combat because I get whooped. My ass gets whooped a lot. Oh jeez, you should see it, man. It's horrible. I try to keep my my enemies at a distance with my gravity,
Of course.
but sometimes people can resist it a little bit. But it's good because that does keep me above getting hit. That's
Right.
my number one greatest weakness. I'm kind of like a glass cannon of that in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that covers pretty much everything of
Yeah.
my gimmicks.
All right. So, what made you want to join the Fight Finder? Like, what's your reason for coming into this community, being one of its combatants? Like,
The reason I joined Fight Finder.
yeah, just that motivation.
Well, there's a lot of different sides to it. Well, I came here mostly to find friends, people to hang out with, a shoulder to lean on sometimes, some good entertainment fights, of course. You can't really get fights pretty much anywhere in the metaverse outside of Fight Finder. So it was a good way to use my skills, in a nice area, nice, environment. And the second reason, I guess, it's kind of corny, but, I kind of want to, how do I say this? Since I have judgment powers, I'm kind of a judge, so I want to take bad people down a peg a little bit, with fighting them. It gives a good reason to like come in to fights. It's to really inflict the karma that they've might have inflicted upon the world. I'm kind of there in that regard.
Interesting. Interesting. And
It pretty much covers my.
yeah. And by joining Fight Finder and going through these bouts, facing off against these, I guess, more unsavory opponents, like, what do you hope to get out of Fight Finder? What is it you want to accomplish or improve about yourself?
I guess for when that one big day comes, where there's just a force of nature so like evil that I can take it down, maybe. And I sound a lot like a superhero, but it's something I want to do. I want to protect people, even though I'm pretty weak. And it comes at a double-sided sword, because I don't want to accidentally kill people who are like cool. I don't want to kill people who are my like friends who I've established relations with, because my judgment powers can really mess up a lot of people, because people in the metaverse aren't really good or evil. They do a lot of bad things, but
So what brought on this hero mindset of yours, like, out of curiosity?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's just I just had these powers one day and I never really used them for anything. So I tried to I did a little research on the metaverse in my spare time. I'm a bit of a hermit, so I don't really go outside of these events. But after I did some digging, I was like, wow, there's some really bad forces in nature, and I might want to be there to prepare and hone my skills before something like that goes knocking at my doorstep.
Okay. Let's see. Quite the noble cause you have for joining Fight Finder. Mostly as a form of training for yourself to improve your skills and to make the world a better place in a way.
Of course, people could say it's corny, but it's something I want to do.
Yeah. So you've been around Fight Finder for a while, so you've probably seen a lot of different fighters, a lot of different fights happening. Are there any fighters that kind of stand out to you? Any that you see as either a rival, someone to overcome, someone you want to strive to kind of be or surpass?
That's a good question. I've seen a lot of fighters come and go, but some do leave a mark on me. My fight with Lazarus almost killed me back a couple months ago. He was pretty strong, probably the strongest opponent I ever fought in my entire fighting career. And I don't really see him as a rival. I see him as, how do I say this, foreshadowing for my life. I feel like I'm gonna fight an unstoppable force like him, and I'm going to need to prepare for that. And that was really a hardship, because Hoochie Mama, that guy was strong. But I do see a lot of people who are like really grinding up and wanting to fight, but I don't really know what the reason is. There doesn't have to be a reason if you want to be the strongest person.
Yeah, everyone has a reason for fighting.
Competition, yeah. It is a competition based format. And but I do kind of get it, but at the same time, that mindset only leads to more freaks coming out of it. Not to discourage anyone from wanted to be the very best that no one ever was, but it's something I see. It is something I see.
Yes. And throughout all the fighters that you've met and encountered, is there anyone that you hold in very high respect, like someone you see as a role model within this community?
A role model. Me for other people? Yeah, you could say that. There's not many outstanding individuals, but I guess that is a really tricky question that you threw at me. I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head who's like, setting a good standard for people to follow, because people are here for fighting. But fighting isn't bad in itself,
Well, no, it's more on the thing of like maybe how they fight, the reasons why they fight, or maybe it's like,
oh yeah, of course.
The way that they.
I'd probably put obviously Jope up there. He's pretty much the small guy. He made it all the way to the top of the leaderboards, and he really set a standard for fighters to want to overcome him and want to adopt his mindset and mentality. But I feel like that sort of mindset will only lead to dire outcomes. You can see in Barmalay, that guy's like limbs ripped off, but but the thing about him is that he still kept going after he did, get disfigured. It is pretty admirable. Also, now that you mention it, now I'm thinking about it, I guess I do kind of have a rival. I don't know if you guys at home know who Atticus is, but
Atticus.
I could sense like a tough rivalry between me and him. The face he kind of wears around me is kind of I think it's because of a fight we had back in the day. We did fight, and I did blow like his arm off, but it regenerated. He was in a lot of pain, I could tell, but oof. He really said some mean, scary words, but I'm not gonna let it get to me.
Right, of course. So what?
Oh, it's you again. Hey,
You good?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. Read the next question here. So, how have you seen yourself improving from when you first got here to now?
Oh,
Like,
hi,
is anything
Gordon.
in you
Press it
changed?
to open it.
Well, there was a change, yeah. My powers did kind of change a little bit. They weren't the exact same as they used to be, but I did get better at evaluating the strengths of people and what kind of fights I could pick properly and have a fair fight against.
Mhm.
I did learn that there's like a lot of shifty people out here in the
Mhm.
community.
Right, right.
And saying this is going to make me a target, but eh,
All right.
my whole goal is probably going to make me a target to begin
see,
with.
I
So,
see.
but it's whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. That's all the questions I have for you today. Any closing remarks? Any call outs? Anything you want to promote? And anything like that? Or
Whatever they're doing, ask them.
Mm.
No, I'm just
You guys should come to my hot dog stand. Do you mind if I put it down real quick for the fans?
Yeah, sure.
I have a lot of fans. Yeah, of course.
Ooh, very nice.
This beauty, this beauty.
defending my territory. No,
If you see it,
same enemy.
give me 5 credits. I'll give you a hot dog.
Does not
Mm-hmm.
Get this out of here.
Let's see. Let me see.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Have a good day.
thank you for coming to my show and taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk here with me.
Of course. It was pretty short, but
Yeah, yeah.
don't really have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
too much
they
story to
can't
bite
they
on.
can't all be long talks. It's basically based on the questions, back and forth, and all that. So,
Of course.
yeah, yeah.
See ya.
So yeah. All right, welcome back. We just had our second interview finish here. Let's bring up our third guest here for this evening. Please do come on stage and sit next to me here.
Hello, everyone. At work? I look
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, yeah, you look great. All right, so please do introduce yourself to the audience as well as those watching at home, and we'll get things started.
Okay. My name's Ali Oduli. As of this interview, I'm currently number 10 on the ranked fighters list at Fight Finder.
Number 10. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of competitive spot right now. A lot of people in kind of the same win ratio. So I'm not sure if I'll still be in that spot by the time this interview airs.
Ooh, all right, all right. So basically, those top 10 spots are the really competitive spots. People are really just vying for them, trying to get that one up on everyone.
Yeah, if you take a look at the rankings, it's like once a fighter hits 15 wins, that's when things really start to get in the weeds. And as more and more people behind me are hitting 13, 14 wins,
It gets
that's kind of
scary, and you're like, ooh,
Well, the top 20 is really crowded right now, and a one win can just knock you down a few pegs or knock you up.
really.
So,
that.
yeah, man, it's getting interesting.
Ooh. Wow, things are really getting heated in leaderboards then.
Yeah, but I think I've earned it. I've proven to be a capable fighter.
And this leads into my next question. What skills do you use that kind of differentiate you from the rest of the fighters? What gives you that extra edge in your fights to kind of ensure you will win? Any tricks that you use?
Well, first off, a lot of people mistake me for being like a synth or a robot. I'm actually a cyborg. I'm a human. There's still a skull and a brain under here. I still have a heart and a few other organs. But being like a cyborg conversion, I think brings a lot more advantages of both, having a meat brain and the advantages of, mechanical power, the piston arms, the ability to channel electricity through my punches, the ability to mount weaponry to my chassis, I've got retractable blade claws, mounted hard light shield. I can single-handedly wield a 4-gauge shotgun. with one hand. So
Wow.
that ain't no easy feat.
No, it's
People
not.
with regular arms.
There's that like
That is
recoil.
that is some
There's-
serious power.
Yeah, there's that heavy recoil, and with those kind of arms, you're always able to keep your hand steady and not really have the recoil be too much of an effect.
I guess that's my major advantage is people either just assume that I am a robot or that I'm not as tactically flexible as people assume me to be. But I've also got like nanomachines flowing through my blood a lot of the time. Where I come from, nanomeds are pretty plentiful. My reality, it's the year 3088, so pretty far in the future for some folks. But nanotechnology, bioaugmentation, cyber augmentation, a lot of this stuff's been around for so long that it's cheap, easy to come by, and very adaptable. So I've got some tech on my side.
So what made you want to join a place like Fight Finder in the first place? Like, what's your motivation for being here?
I'd say it's boredom
Boredom.
more than anything. I kind of consider myself a metaversal tourist more than anything else. I go to a Zafira and Togia Termini and all these other kind of places, mostly just to kind of pal around. See what kind of adventures I can find.
Right.
When I found out about Fight Finder, it just kind of seemed natural to just kind of go and enjoy myself, have a bit of fun. And surprisingly, now it's like I've done so well that I'm getting sponsorship contracts and offers. At least I haven't taken any yet, but I'm getting offers of sponsorships. I'm turning heads and providing entertainment. So,
What kind of offers have you gotten from some of the potential sponsors now?
since I haven't taken any, I don't really want to I don't want to breach any potential contracts or any opportunities right now.
Well, do you at least are able to share the people that came forward, or is that also not something you want to share with the audience?
I'm going to err on the side of caution. No offense, but where I come from, we're lorded over by
sign the NDA and you have to keep your lips sealed.
I haven't signed anything yet. It's more or less I don't want to say anything and ruin any potential opportunities.
In a metaphorical sense, not the literal.
Yeah. Where I come from, it's better to err on the side of caution, but I also have a mega monopoly corporation lording over us, so that's kind of a pain.
Oh, yes, of course. And, through Fight Finder, have you seen yourself improve anyway, seen your skills change, or if your character has improved, or, you as a person has had some type of epiphany? One might say.
I never really considered myself to be the fighter type. I've been more of a businessman in my life. May not look it now, but more of a low-level independent businessman. Never kind of the brains behind the operation, not so much the muscle or the feet on the ground kind of deal. But I've surprised myself pleasantly, I would say, to find out that I do have it in me to throw down and improve as a fighter. I considered myself. I grew up hard in the on the streets of Naco City, and it's like you grow up. It's a rough town. You grow up knife fighting and dealing with gangs and that sort of thing. It can be kind of a rough upbringing, So. I figured out what my niche was, and I never really considered that niche to be, the guy to actually throw hands. But I've met some good fighters. There's some really good people behind me in the rankings that I think are more deserving of some of the top spots. Some really, really capable fighters who've taught me some very important lessons.
Do you care to share the names of those fighters, or?
I'd say the one that pops out the most would be Juno, the wrestling gal.
Oh. Really? What
Oh,
about
yeah.
her? Do you think is deserving of one of the higher spots within the rankings?
Yeah, she has a true like sportsman's attitude, and she's got some incredible flair and showmanship. Like, fighter or not, and she is very entertaining. She's also the only fighter to this day who has knocked me out cold in the ring. And I've gone up against some real heavy hitters. She's been the only one to knock me flat.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
So this kind of segues into my next question, but through the fighters you've seen, through the ones you've experienced firsthand, what's one that you hold in a high respect, or one that you see as someone that you would see as a role model in a way?
Someone I see as a role model in the fighters. Hokey as it might sound, I consider two fighters in sort of a, I don't know, role model, but definitely people that kind of take that sort of attitude. One being Job. I mean, that kid, he is just, he's the top fighter right now in the rankings. But, like, you look at his loss rate on top of his win rate, and the dude just doesn't get put down. I can get kind of caught up in depressive spells, my desire to put myself out there, but he just you can't keep him down, man. That kid is always going out there, putting himself out there, and proving that he's the best. But that does come with an awful lot of ass kickings. In a similar way, I would say that Barm, I think he's ranked 13 last I checked.
Ooh.
Yeah, that kid, he's got a mouth on him that runs like a machine gun. The kid is entertaining as hell, to the point where I don't think people realize that he's just trying to hype himself up and hype the crowd up and keep things interesting. People take him way too seriously. But not that he's not a serious threat. The kid can seriously throw hands if you match his level. Because he's just a kid. He's just a guy with. I think he can shoot lightning out of his hands now, which is new.
Wow.
But I wouldn't say that he's necessarily high up on the power level. Like, the kid is definitely a capable fighter if you're willing to not bring all your toys to the table. He'll give you a fight, man. I have enjoyed every fight I've had with Barm.
Wow. Yes. Also, another part of this little question to add. Any fighters that you see as a rival, someone you want to surpass at some point in your career? That's kind of a tough one, if I'll be honest. I don't take, even though I'm sitting at number 10, I don't take this too seriously. I see this as more of a entertainment, although that worldview is definitely changing. It's I think being approached by multiple sponsors, people offering you advice and that sort of thing, and you realize that maybe this could be a bit more serious than you've been treating it. It's, I don't know if I would say anyone to overcome or anyone that I would consider a rival. I don't really have one. I've walked away from every fight with sort of a sports dang it, that sort of a sportsman's sort of outlook and agreement. But I guess it's just more or less comes from my unique position as a fighter here. I don't view nobody here as an enemy. It's like I tell some other folks, it's I'm not exclusive. I'll eat with anybody. I'll
keep company with anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you see this more as a hobby than if anything else, so you don't really take as much seriousness as some of the other competitors would, and kind of just having fun with it all here.
There's a fighter though that I keep having kind of a repeated like he wins, I win, he wins, I win kind of deal, and he doesn't even register his wins. That'd be Wanderer.
Wanderer, really?
Yeah, like I don't think he's on any of the rankings, but he fights regularly. He just doesn't take pictures. I don't think he cares to be ranked in either World Tour or ranked. But consistently having to like a fight with him is one, challenging, and two, you never know how it's going to go with him because it's like I said, it seems like every other fight I'm either winning or losing with him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no animosity there. I love Wanderer. He's a good kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, do you have any like words of encouragement or anything you want to say to our audience or some of your fellow competitors within the rankings, or those that are still unranked?
To unranked fighters, I would advise them to not take this too seriously, especially if you're trying to look, I would say those who have a little fun with it are actually probably going to go a lot further. I mean, look at me. I've only, until recently, realized that, oh, fuck, I'm actually, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but,
Don't worry.
It's like, oh, crap. I didn't realize that I was actually becoming a contender. I was just sort of here to pal around, challenge myself, get some exercise, that sort of thing. I think a good, healthy sort of mindset will get somebody who's just starting out here to go a lot further.
Right.
For those who have been around, have fought me, or haven't fought me, or, have been here for quite a while, I guess my advice would be to, lighten up a little. There's a lot of people here that take this shit way too seriously. And in some cases, they take it too far.
Really?
Some of you motherfuckers out there, you know who I'm talking to. You guys need to calm the hell down and stop tearing people's limbs off just for running their mouths.
Yes. I see.
I guess that's all I gotta say.
All right. And not sure if I asked this or not, but what do you hope to get out of Fight Finder for yourself?
I suppose what I'm looking to get out of it is camaraderie, competition, sense of accomplishment. And I'm definitely batting 100 on all those angles right now.
Yeah.
I don't have any personal enemies made from Fight Finder. I got nothing but friends, and I'm thriving, man. No complaints.
All right. That's all we have for today. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to promote? Anyone you want to call up personally? Anything like that?
Nah, man. I guess if you have school in your reality, stay in it, because I didn't have that option. Don't turn out like me.
All right then. Well, I do thank you for coming to my show and taking the time out of your day to sit down here with me, answer a few questions.
Oh, sure thing, Chum. This was chrome as hell. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I do hope to see you grow in the future, climb the ranks, and just continue to make more friends within this community.
I'm hoping so too, man. You can bet. Now I'm at this spot, I'm going to try and keep it, or at least get higher up.
Well, I do wish you luck in that. As you said, it's very competitive out there. Once you get to the higher ranks, there are a lot of people that are very close to taking your spot. So I do hope you can hold it for a while.
Oh, it's it's going to get real interesting once some of these other people start cashing in wins. This place is about to come real crowded and real competitive in that top 10.
Well,
Guaranteed.
Yeah. The top 10 seems to be the most competitive spot. Also, when I've seen the top 5 is also quite competitive as well. It's
Yeah, but that is like a tally of wins that is pretty serious. Some of those fighters have almost double of what our numbers are.
really
So,
wow.
it's only going to get more, just like, once you start getting in, like I said, you get 15, 20s, but, then you got somebody like Job who's hit like over 70 at this point. It's like,
Wow.
you gotta, there's only one way to get at it. You gotta get out there and you gotta fight.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a funk lately, man. I keep getting on these losing streaks that gets me down. But the way I look at it now is just like, even though I've had plenty of losses, probably more losses than I've had victories, I'm sitting at number 10
Yeah.
currently. Like, damn, you just gotta stick it out. You just gotta get out there and keep fighting, and you never know if you're gonna win or lose.
Indeed. Well, again, thank you for coming into my show, and I hope to see you back here again sometime.
Sure thing, Chum, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a real pleasure.
Of course. And cut. Alright, everyone, welcome back to the show. This will be our last interview of this episode, but do tune in again for the next episode. We'll have a bunch more interviews coming, so let's bring on our next guest.
Hello. Greetings.
Hello. Alright, so, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself to our audience as well as to the viewers at home for those that don't know you.
Of course. Hello there. My name is Eris. My creator still has yet to put the acronym in our database, but it is what it is, I guess. Currently, I'm just trying to find ways to grow our mindset, or I guess you could call it mindset. I'm not quite sure, but the constant fighting is just couldn't happen fast enough for us to be able to grow as we were intended to. So, it is what it is. It's for us to expand.
I see. And what's your current rank in Fight Finder, if you have one?
I do not have a rank. We were enlisted? I can't really... I think the term is joined.
Oh, so you're just
Yes, that
freshly
would be
joined.
right.
So you're like the newest fighter on the roster then. Is that what we're saying?
Indeed.
Oh, really? So So what made you want to come onto this show then? Out of curiosity.
Well, when we were first produced, we were just given one simple protocol, which was to expand our knowledge about the metaverse. Of course, our creator has had a few years here, but wasn't quite able to get the knowledge he was looking for. So, therefore, we were created, given the protocol, and next thing we know, we find ourselves in City 17, which is a very interesting place to put it. A lot of interesting creatures you can find there, both robotic like myself and human, I guess. I do remember that there was an incident there that it was just full of monster invasions.
Mm-hmm.
You would get like a dragon or two here and there. It was interesting. But after that, and all the other major fights that occurred, it wouldn't really happen fast enough for us to progress. So therefore, we actively sought out any associations that were able to suit our needs. We ended up finding Fight Finder, and well, here we are.
I see. So what made you want to join the Fight Finder of all places, in your research, I guess, or observations of the metaverse?
Mainly just to see how different people react when under stressful situations or situations that require them to fight to survive. One thing that I've learned on here is that it is truly survival of the fittest. Though that doesn't really apply for an automaton like myself, as we can always be rebuilt, reprogrammed, etc. We get put down, we adapt, we upgrade, we do it, we fight. It's just a repeating process over and over. Honestly, quite enjoyable.
So you see yourself as an expendable asset that can just keep on going, keep on fighting, and get beat up, get fixed up, rebuilt, and go back at it again the next go around?
Indeed, again, we are just only parts. Pistons and wires, servos, and just metal. Metal is easily replaceable.
So what do you hope to get out of Fight Finder? Like, do you wish to grow personally, or is this more just for your mission?
A bit of both. I personally want to experience what it's like to be more human, what it's like to have emotions, and what it's like to actually feel something other than a spark in the wiring. It's honestly interesting seeing the other creatures interact with each other. Actually, this quite reminds me of an encounter I had earlier today. Of course, it was over message, but I really look forward to this. There apparently seems to be a archangel who I consider fallen, as he has been beaten before by a machine, Unit V1. I think the former archangel's name was Gabriel. Calls himself the Judge of Hell, even though, again, as we all know, has been beaten by a machine 3 times. And so, me being the automaton that I am, I decided to try out a new thing that I picked up, taunting. Basically, pointing out multiple things that we know are true, and pointing it out to the fallen. Thankfully, our taunt was a success, as we have now earned a fight with them. Honestly, I hope they do show in this upcoming Rumble. Can't help but wonder if he'll actually show. And if so, I'm pretty sure that I will experience this one thing called excitement that you fleshy creatures express. Apparently it's a form of happiness.
And who is this fighter that has challenged you?
Gabriel, the Archangel. Again, as a fallen, as I have come to understand, they are quite cocky, if I do say so myself, from what I have seen. Going back on previous database of V1, when they first encountered Gabriel, they were quite eager, I guess you could say. You could tell that they have not really lost a fight. Once they had been humbled the first time by Unit B1, it was quite shocking for them. And they needed time to think. The second time, it was just pure spite and rage. You could tell in the voice alone. Of course, he made that quite evident. The third time, it was as if he has truly given up and has truly understood that it is purely just a fight for survival. To see who comes out on top. Apparently, after that, he has went back on his own ways of cockiness and surety that he will prevail in every encounter. I personally think that it would be interesting to see just how well he deals with another loss under his belt, beaten by a machine once again.
And have you had the chance to witness any fights or had the chance to see any fighters in action, or have you not gotten around to doing so yet?
Actually, yesterday I had been in a fight myself with a fighter named Scales. Quite a formidable opponent he was. The fight took place in the Hotlands, in the middle of everything. Got knocked into the lava once, but since I am technically a metaverse creature, I was able to respawn, and surprisingly, not a scratch. Well, other than a couple of wires getting fried and optical servos messing up, but that was easily fixed. I did come out on top in that fight. It was interesting, however, as apparently Scales have abilities. I do not wish to spoil that quite yet,
Of course.
but it is quite a light show.
Are there any fighters that you've witnessed that stand out to you? Anyone you have any respect in? Any rivals you have at this current moment, or are you still trying to figure that all out?
Currently trying to figure it out. However, I do think that maybe the Fallen will be a good rival. As my creator has mentioned, apparently we are based off of an angelic being, originally called a crown unit. I guess it makes sense due to the crown-like piece of metal that is on my head. So, honestly, I wonder just how well Gabriel will react to this, knowing what I look like.
I see.
Any other questions?
No, not as of this moment. Given that you're still new, there's we kind of answered a lot of the questions that were the more generic ones. But one question I do have is though, what skills do you have? Would you have that would put you above the rest? Well, like, what separates you from the other competitors? Like, what do you think you can bring to the table that would give you that extra edge in a fight?
Me personally, I think that it would just have to be the skill that we have possessed over the years of us fighting. We have a decent amount of experience, so therefore we have picked up a lot of strategies, being able to being able to read other opponents' moves more effectively, seeing which comes next. Not only that, but since I am an angel, like angelic automaton, I guess, I was given these wings that can be utilized for aerial combat. Another thing that I think gives me a bit of an edge is the weapon that we possess. Thankfully, since we are a bit of a tanky unit, we have been given this.
Wow.
It's a pretty big hammer, if I do say so myself. When used in combat, has been able to destroy a few buildings and knocked other machines, servos, out of their bodies. But of course, they were weaker models, less equipped.
All right then. So, any closing remarks? Anything to promote? Anyone you want to call out or anything like that?
No. Other than the fact that I cannot wait to grow and expand my knowledge about this place known as Fight Finder. Seems to be quite the interesting association, comparable to another one that I am aware of. Though, with more limitations and more fleshy beings. Can't wait to see how this goes.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to my show and taking the time to sit down with me and answer these questions. I do hope to see you in the future and see how you grow, how you change and adapt through your journey within Fight Finder. And I hope your mission of research goes well.
Thank you. And I hope that your journey on this interviewing goes well for you as well. And it turns out as planned.
Thank you. And cut. Well, everyone, I do want to thank you for tuning into this evening's show. We had a lot of interviews, a lot of great people. Some known faces, some a little bit more unknown, but again, everyone here deserves the chance to shine. So again, we'll have more people on our show next week with a lot more interviews. Hopefully, and maybe some more big name people to come on and share their story with the rest of us. Yes, do tune in to the us again soon. And this is Rex Rection signing off.